I use my phone or it's your phone? I don't get Thank you.
Oh, well, okay. I'm used to it.
I know.
Pretty slick. I've been asked to sing a couple of songs today, and I'm going to try and make this as a happy affair as ever, because when Dave and Lynn used to come and see me play, they had some favorite songs. And so those are the ones I'm going to sing today. Usually when I come here to play, it's always doom and gloom and everything, but I want this to be a happy occasion if we can make it that way. If you feel like singing along, you're allowed to do that too. Okay, so well, country music singers always been a real close family. But lately, some of my shit folk, their husbands owned a few others than me. And I guess that's because I changed my direction. Well, Lord, I guess I went and broke their family tradition. Hey, they want to know why do you drink? Yeah, and why do you roll smoke? And why must you live out the songs that you wrote? and over and over. And everybody makes my prediction. When I get stoned and I sing all night long, it's just a family tradition. And I am very proud of my daddy's name. Although his kind of music, Hank Williams Sr. is exactly the same. So when you think it over, you put yourself in my unique position. You see, when I get stoned, well, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Here's where we sing, hey, you wanna know why do you drink? Yeah, and why do you roll smoke? Why must you live out the songs that you wrote? Now, if I'm down at some honky-tonk, some old slick's trying to give me some friction, I said, leave me alone. I'm singing all night long, 'cause this is a family tradition. Well, I have loved some ladies, and I have loved some ladies. They all tried to kill me back in 1970, 80, whatever. So when that doctor asked me, he said, how'd you get in this old condition? Well, I said, hey, Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Here's where we say, wanna know why do you drink? Yeah, and why do you roll smoke? And why must you live out the songs that you wrote? And over, everybody makes my prediction. When I get stoned and I sing all night long, it's just a family tradition. Yeah, when I get stoned, well, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. A little early in the day.
Ooh, a great big thanks to Lou and his team. Let's hear it. Woo! A little bit later on, we're going to hear more Lou, and we hear there's a rumor that as well, Deb and Linda may join us, but this is crowd participation, so there was a little bit of movement. There was some hands are shaking, but as we move forward, let's see some more of that. We'd really like to hear it. So a little bit later on, we're going to hear from Steve and some other soloists as well. But just a couple of administrative things. If you have, and I think you do, have one of these weapons in your pocket, purse, or somewhere else, please ensure that it's turned off the ringer, unless you can go along with Lou and the music. Outside of that, there's no chance, okay? So again, this is a good turnout, Dave.
Very good.
It's unbelievable,
What
well, I guess so for a long. Lynn's going to ensure we were honored and humbled to be asked to be the chair people introducers. What was the other word, Kim? Yes, and we're honored and unbelievably humbled to do so, and very, very so proud to be here to represent our lifelong friend. First and foremost, for David, Michael, Kelly, we want to really, really acknowledge your notes, your thanks, your phone calls, your emails, your attendance here today means so, so much to them and to Lynn. It's showing all of us, and showing them just how much she meant to each and every one of us here. We're here for a reason. She touched us in some way very, very positive. And thank you for being here. In a lovely way, Lynn was just a wonderful, lovely person. And it's been an incredibly difficult week. But when we get together, when we share, when we show comfort to one another, it makes a difference, and the family greatly appreciates it now and certainly going forward. Mrs. Lynn Park was a great mom, auntie, self-worker, lover, wife, you name it, an incredible friend for many, many years. And one cannot really kind of say enough. So again, thank you. Your attendance means so much on a snowy Sunday, a week before Christmas, and thanks for coming. For me, so you know, who are those two knuckleheads at the front? So I'm Tim Fleming, and this is
Dave Wetton.
Dave Wetton. I've had the distinct pleasure to know Lynn for, I'm a bit of a math geek, so 50.666 years with a periodic decimal over the 6. So Lynn and I actually went to, and I better hear it, Michael, because you were practicing it yesterday. You know, thing we went to Richmond Hill High School. We didn't even show each other well, but certainly we got together just a little bit later on in April 1972. Today, it is all about a celebration of life. So as you heard, Lou introducing with the music, you're going to hear today some poems, some funny tales, certainly some tears will be drawn, but let's celebrate a wonderful woman that was among us and is still with us. And I know she's watching us right now. That includes, by the way, and I said it to Deb the other day, and you'll hear from Deb a little bit later on. I said, if you've got if you got a pet name or something along that line, feel free, use it as you see fit. I shared it just the other day. I shared it. My personal favorite was, you'll hear many of them, was Lummer. But then I shocked Kelly and told her about my real favorite was Lum Bob. So that, that really threw a thing. So feel what you feel, share what is most important. Lynn's been a close friend for us for many, many years, for 50 years. We got together back in, and we think when there was a McDonald's, and MJ knew it exactly, right across from the Richmond Heights Plaza. There was a McDonald's there, believe it or not. It opened in June 1972. 1972 was a fabulous year. I didn't have to threaten you with turning these things off. We had rotary dials. We had the song of the year. Anybody know the song of the year that year? Not Kim, because I told this morning. No, it was actually A Horse with No Name by America. It had a thing to do. And when we started at McDonald's, you could buy a cheeseburger for 24 cents and a French fries for 22. And you could buy a family of 4 with Big Macs for under $4. What a deal, what a deal. You can't go wrong, and today it's whatever, 5, 10, 15 fold that. So we went through that. The movies were The Godfather and, Dave's personal favorite, The Poseidon Adventure. So, I know we pretty really like that. I'm not sure he's going to break into that one song from the lead a little bit later on, whatever. But, it was a wonderful time. A lot happened. The person of the year, which we say today, and man of the year was actually Richard Nixon. And at the end of the year, he was on the bench, and very closely into early in the 73, he got turf. So it shows you how life does change, and change for us all very quickly. So what a life. What a journey for Lynn. The journey's just starting. It's beginning. Let's celebrate it, share, cry, do whatever you want, but let's hear you today, because she's listening, and we're here for her. Okay? So we got many, many speakers. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce her to a gentleman very, very close to me. In fact, he's only about 7 inches away right now. But he was known, Lynn, for a mere maybe 49.3 years. So despite the fact his non-familiarity, he's got a great caring for us. So Mr. Dave Wetton.
Thanks, Tim. So actually, excuse me a second, just gonna do this. Tim was wrong. Even though he is a mathematician, he is wrong. First of all, I was looking out in the crowd as he was talking about that wonderful meal at McDonald's, family meal. It was actually $5. And he confirmed it to me, so that's a wonderful thing. So that's number one. You're wrong.
He came late.
We're just talking about number one wrong. Okay. Number two wrong is that I've known Lynn longer than you. And I bet you I've known Lynn longer than a lot of people in this room. Because last night I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about Lynn and just reminiscing about Lynn herself and who she was. And I said, Lynn's a townie. She grew up in Richmond Hill. She went to school here. She made a lifelong friends here. She was married here. I know that for a fact because I had the honor of standing up for Dave at their wedding. She had her children here. She bought a home here. She worked here. Amazing. She worked here. She made lifelong friends. And yes, she traveled. And she traveled abroad to Italy. We had the wonderful time, a chance to travel with Lynn and Dave to Cozumel for New Year's. We were very excited about that. And she had a wonderful trip with her family to go to Iceland, which is on my bucket list now that I'm retired, and Scotland and Ireland, I believe. Correct, Dave? It's Ireland? So you just went to Scotland, right? The Casps. Italy and France. And she also stayed and went north to take some quiet time at their cottage in Halls Lake. So quite an accomplishment for a young lady. And I am humbled to be able to speak about her today. And one of the things about being humble is that's what Lynn was. Lynn was humble and she was kind. And that was my Lynn. So we talked about lumbar, we talked about everything. Lynn was my Lynn, she was Lynner. And I'd like to touch a little bit about her early years as a child, as a young lady in this wonderful town of Richmond Hill. I met Lynn in the early years, before her teens, Tim. Just to put that on the record. And it was through her brother, Scott. And it was linked through hockey. I remember Lynn hanging around her big brother in those days. And Scott and I actually played on the same team. As a matter of fact, my father coached that team one year. And so my father always had it. If anybody knows my family, my father was always big on having family gatherings. And he had the whole team come over after a game. And we were voting that time to be who was going to be the assistant captain and who was going to be the captain. And Scott became the captain. It was unanimous. And it's no secret that the Mabley family was a sports-minded family. Lynn was just as involved in sports as Scott and Eric, Don. Lynn was active as a baseball player. She was with the Micmac, right? The Micmac travel team. And she was, and I'll say this, a great first base person. And was highlighted several times in the local newspaper, The Liberal. Everybody remember The Liberal who grew up here. And the interesting thing about that, back in those days, if you were featured in The Liberal, you were almost a celebrity. High school, she participated in several sports. She excelled in volleyball. She had a killer serve, as Leslie and I confirmed today. And during the year, she dabbled in a few other sports like golf, which comes to mind. She also had a great love for games. She loved to play cards. Anything that involved a challenge. Most recently, she played Wordle with her friends every day. And the interesting thing about that, most often, Lynn got the Wordle word first or second time. Amazing. I know that for a fact because my wife would go, she did it again. Jan did it again. And then Kim would text and say, how did you do that? You might say she was always game for games. She had the love for books, the love for reading, took that knowledge and applied that to her life. She was the best friend to many of us. She made an impact on people and was truly loved by all of us. Her kindness was always evident. She was intelligent, strong, thoughtful, respectful to others, especially others. She had the ability to listen and guide people, provide ideas and possibly solutions to people to help them go through whatever situations they may be encountering at that time. Lynn had a way about her. She had this gift with people, but her greatest gift was working, helping, and guiding children. Although she chose her profession, working with children, she was a real natural in this area. Her dedication to children came from the heart, and I know how hard she worked to ensure each child had a place and a purpose in this life. Lynn's purpose in life has been a wonderful example to me this week. I've had the opportunity to share time with Mike and Kelly and witness Lynn's strong attributes of strength, kindness, and love within each of them. And I know that Lynn and Dave are very proud of Mike and Kelly. And all I can say is, Lynn, you've done well, my friend, and thanks. Now, Jim, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, David. Next, I'd like to introduce a man who needs plenty of introduction, but I'll introduce Mr. David O'Hara, who was a friend also of the same time frame, but worked very close with Lynn for a distinguished long period. So, Mr. David O'Hara. Go ahead, my man. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be here speaking on behalf of all of you. And my understanding and what I've learned with Lynn throughout my life, right? She was a fabulous person. I don't think you could be closer to anyone as a friend. She took care of you. She looked after you. When I first met her, it was about 50 years ago. I'll say 50.01 years ago, because it was probably December 2nd or December 10th. And the only reason I remember that is that's when I started at McDonald's. That was my first shift, somewhere either the 2nd or the 10th at McDonald's. And Lynn happened to be the crew chief that day, right? And I worked the 11 to 7 shifts. So I came in, brand new, didn't know really what to do, got on the floor. I was on lot and lobby that day, and that means I was taking care of all the garbage outside, cleaning off all the tables, emptying the garbage bins, all that, making sure the lot was all cleaned up, and I had no idea what to do. When I first got in there, I saw Lynn. I forget who introduced me to her, but they said, Lynn's the crew chief today. Whatever she says, you listen to her. And when I looked at her, all I saw was a stern face, and she was like, and I went, whoa, I'm in trouble. This is gonna be a tough shift. I don't know what I'm gonna do. She looks really serious, boy. I'm no fooling around with this woman, right? So anyways, I started my shift, I'm working away, and she comes out through the door, and she's coming right to me. And I'm going, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. What did I do wrong? I had no idea. She came up to me and she says, Dave, she says, I'm Lynn. Welcome to McDonald's. Hope you do a really good job today. And she says, I'll give you a little tip. When you're emptying the garbage containers, tie the bag up first, then take it out. Because if you don't, it'll fall all over the floor and you have to clean it up. But just a little tip, right? And I thought, wow. And she sat there and said, you're not in trouble. She put me right at ease. And that's one of the things Lynn was really, really good at. She could put you at ease. Not only that, she'd also tell you what and how to fix something. So it wasn't like she was saying, hey, you did this wrong, and left you with it. She would help you. She'd talk to you. She'd communicate, right? And the biggest thing she ever did, she'd listen to what you had to say. And she always made you feel that she was actually listening to everything you said, because I really do believe she did listen to everything everybody said. And she wouldn't make a comment right away. She'd always pause a little bit and then say something. So after that first day, I went, I feel really comfortable, right? So it went on. We kept meeting. And at McDonald's, we were one happy family, right? All the people who worked there, like Tim, not Dave. He passed through for 1 week. Was it what, 0.2 days or something like that? 0.2. I have to talk to the mathematician on that one. So he was about 0.2 days. But at McDonald's, Lynn, always concerned about everybody. If we went out, we went to a movie or we went downtown, Lynn was there. Oh, where's so-and-so? Where's so-and-so? She was always looking out for everybody. She was almost like the glue that kept us all together. And I don't know if, for all those who may not know her that well, it seemed to all her life she did this. If we were up at the cottage, we go up to the cottage and she'd be sitting there on the deck and looking. Where's Tim? Anybody see him? Oh yeah, he's up in the, he's up here or he's up there, he's in the kitchen or whatever. But she was always watching to make sure that everybody was around, everybody was safe, and she was always looking for us, right? The same thing at her wedding, I remember when I went to it. I just met this new girl, and maybe 2 or 3 weeks I'd known her, went to the wedding, got to the wedding. What did Lynn do? Took her, introduced her to everybody. So she made sure that she fit in too, right? And it wasn't just me, so she always did that. That's what I loved about her. She did things like that. She took care of you. She watched over you. She was almost like a teacher, right? I don't know why she went into that field, but it seems that's what she was, right from the get-go, right? And then I also remember going up to Tim's cottage or Dave's cottage. Lynn would be there, right? And I remember sitting down many times that we went up. We went up 5 or 6 times, right? Every time we went up, you'd always have a good conversation with her. And if you had something to discuss, right? Again, she'd listen to you. And she'd have an explanation for you, or she'd help you out. She was very understanding. She's the best person to get along with, And I see a bunch of people out here. They must have known her really well because they're all nodding their heads, going the same thing that I found out. But the other thing too is I kept hearing the name Lummer, and I didn't know who that was. And of course, the only person who really knew all this, right, was the man who gave everybody a nickname, Mr. Fleming, right? So his nickname is Lenny. I don't think anybody told you that. So it's Lenny, right? I don't know who gave it to him, but I'm pretty sure it probably was Lynn that gave it to him. She says, you're going to give me a name, you're getting a name, right? So he got a name, Lenny. But I'm not 100% sure. Tim can tell you later. But he gave everybody a nickname. My nickname is Harry. Okay. Parky got Parky. Pardon? I used to have hair at one time, yes. I did have a full head of hair, but it's all gone now. So anyways, that's what I remember about Lynn. She was a wonderful person. And the thing is, right, we keep thinking she's getting the party room ready for us right now. She is getting that organized for us, right? And she's sitting up there laughing, going, you guys are going to in for a big surprise because you ought to see the party I'm going to throw. Okay. And that's what I remember about Lynn. She was a wonderful person. And I don't think anybody could have had a better friend, better mother, better wife. She was perfect for Dave Park, the perfect woman for him. And I'm so happy that they met at McDonald's because we've all got something in common. Anyways, that's all I have to say about Lynn. And hopefully everybody feels the same way, that she's touched them in a special way. Okay, thank you, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hara. Those warm words resonate with us all. So right now, they're
They're mingling.
They're mingling. they're mulling about right now,
Yeah,
and
we're gonna make room for you.
so the three close friends are going to do a special poem right now. And it's Janice, Janet, and Kim. We've always practiced names because we've got, everybody's either named Dave or J name. So ladies, please.
This is a poem called Remember Me. To the living, I am gone. To the sorrowful, I will never return. To the angry, I was cheated. But to the happy, I am at peace. And to the faithful, I have never left.
I cannot speak, but I can listen. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So as you stand upon a shore, gazing at a beautiful sea, and as you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me.
Remember me in your heart, your thoughts and your memories of the times we've loved, the times we've cried, the times we fought, the time we laughed. And for you, always think of me. I will never be gone. Godspeed, and we love you forever. We're the Wordle ladies.
Oh, the word. Everybody's a specialist. You can see the first theme is about friendship. And, there was a time, beyond McDonald's, after Burger King opened up, we collapsed, and had to move along. But what has lived for a long, long time is Lynn's friendship with her high school friends. And so, and they've maintained that for many, many years. So on their behalf and whoever else may join them, I'm ever so pleased to introduce Deb Hatton, and Kim may be with her, or I'll leave it all up to Deb, and you may meet her, and she's one of the group.
Thank you. Okay. Let me catch my breath here. Okay. Wow, there's a lot of people here. Awesome. I met Lynn in 1970 when we both entered grade 9 at Richmond High School. So that would be 52. Okay. Okay. So over the course of the five years at Richmond High School, something happened that now I believe was truly magical. Can't look at you guys. I became part of a group of young women who, to this day, are still my friends. I can do this. Special friends. Friends that you don't have to check in with on a regular basis. Friends that you know are there if you ever get really sick or arrested. Not me. I haven't been arrested, but I can't speak for the rest of them, but I know that if I did, they would be there for sure. But most importantly, they're friends that when you do see them, it doesn't matter how much time's gone by, you just pick up where you left off. And Lynn is one of my special friends. When I reflect back on those high school days, I remember Lynn as one of the quiet ones, but not in a shy or timid way, in a fierce, loyal, and gotta try to keep these girls in line kind of way. Right, Les? Yeah. She was, for a lot of us, the voice of reason and clear judgment. And a lot of us were really lacking in that department. But she was a good sport, and she most often would go along with all our crazy antics and adventures. So in August of 1974, Hillcrest Mall opened. I know, it's like, I'm so old. And Lynn and I both got a job working at Burke's Jewelers. So for those of you who don't know, Burke's is a very, very prestigious jewelry store. I have no idea how I got hired. I guess we're, maybe comparable to Tiffany's now, but it was very, very high-end jewelry. And we went through this very extensive training program downtown at their big flagship store, watching videos of Waterford crystal and all this stuff. So anyway, Lynn and I got this job at Burke's, and we had a lot of shifts together. And I think for the most part, we were pretty good employees, but I would get bored very, very easily. So I created a game. And you said Lynn likes games. So I created this game, and it was called Hide the Diamond. And I would go into the showcase and get the biggest, most expensive rock that they had, and I would hide it somewhere in the store. And then only Lynn and I played. She was the only one that I trusted to play Hide the Diamond with. And we would play the game like, okay, you're cold, no, you're warm, or you're getting warmer, no, now you're cold again, that kind of game. So one day I was very bored, and I went into the jewelry case and I got the biggest rock that they had, and I took it out, and it was very slow in the store. And there was a very kind of weird bar section in Burke's Jewelers where they had like crystal cocktail shakers and martini glasses, and they had the most ugly ice bucket. And it was shaped like a Roman soldier's helmet thing, and the face would flip back, and that's where your ice was. And it had a plastic liner in it. So I took the diamond and I put it under the plastic liner. And we started to play this game. Well, then the store got a little busy and people started coming in. And Lynn was busy with one client at her register, and I was busy with somebody else. And I stood up and I looked over, and there was this elderly couple with the helmet in their hand. And they were going to buy this ice bucket with this rock in it that I had put in there. And Lynn had no idea that it was in there. So I'm trying to get her attention. And finally we make eye contact, and she could see by the lack of color in my face and the look that she automatically knew that the ring was in there. And at the same time, our store manager walked in because she was on her lunch break, because that's when we played the game. And it was almost like time froze, and the look of horror on Lynn's face will be etched in my brain forever. And then I remembered the Burke's boxes. Burke's were famous for their boxes. Everybody wanted a Burke's box. We used to have people come in and try to buy the Burke's boxes. Trust me, there were many Christmas presents from people's jewelers wrapped in Burke's boxes, if you know what I mean. So I finished with my customer. I hurried over to Lynn's and I grabbed the helmet and I said, let me go in the back and see if I could get a box for this. So I ran in the back and I got the diamond out, and all ended well. And Lynn and I, afterwards, we had a really good laugh about it. But she did, in true Lynn fashion, look me straight in the eye and she said, that was fun, but we're never playing that game. Never. So that was my funny story about Lynn and Burke's Jewelers. Over the years, this group of now amazing women in my life, we've gotten together to reconnect and celebrate some major life moments, like spending a weekend in Blue Mountain when we all turned 60, which was so much fun. And then again, a smaller group of us got together at Vicky's Chalet for our 65th. And it was always at these events that I always managed to have some quiet time with just Lynn and I. And lots of times I was going through some struggles. And I find it so interesting that we've all mentioned what a great listener Lynn was. And I truly felt that about Lynn as well. She really listened to me. And she listened to me in a way, it's hard to explain when you really feel heard. And there was no judgment. There was no unsolicited advice. Lynn just listened to me. And through that listening, it helped me figure out things for myself. She helped me to see that I could do whatever I needed to do because she believed in me, and in turn helped me to believe in myself. I just saw Lynn in the middle of November. We had a standing date. She would come at least for the last 15 years to the Markham craft show where I was exhibiting. And that's how I got to meet MJ. And this year she came with Dawn. And I always looked so forward to seeing her and catching up. And then Dave and I had our little date every year at the opening day of the CNE. Lynn hated the CNE, but Dave would come and visit me every year there on opening day. So I always look forward to that. And when I saw Lynn last week, we made plans for next week to go to the OV in Newmarket to see Lou play, which we did a few times. And so I reached out to Dave this week and we've decided to continue that. So we are going to be meeting next Thursday night at the Old Village Free House on Main Street in Newmarket. So if anybody's in the area and would like to join in and continue a celebration of Lynn's life with Lou, that would be amazing. Yeah, we really enjoyed our times together. And I had my 65th, I threw myself, because it's all about me, a surprise birthday. I threw myself a surprise birthday party for my 65th. And hired Lou to come and play. And it was it was so nice that we all got to be together and see each other and have that memory. So that was really special. It was a real surprise. I was shocked. I was shocked that I was that old. Anyway, I'm just very grateful that I had 52 point something years of Lynn in my life. And I know Dave and Kelly and Michael and Dawn and the rest of Lynn's family and all her friends. She is listening and she is a good listener and she will help us get through this. She will. Thank you.
So we're just going to take a second for Louis to get set up here. Debbie, thank you for your kind thoughts on Lynn.
All right, so I am actually a cousin, and actually I think I was endeared to the family here because Scott, Lynn's older brother, and I played hockey together and certainly spent a lot of time together. We were actually roommates in Oshawa when we played for the Oshawa Generals. We both got traded to Sault Ste. Marie the next year, following each other around like bloodhounds. But he was my roomie up there, and I was his best man at his wedding. And certainly in my life, Scott was a soulmate for me, and so that made it easy to fall in with Lynn and Don and Eric and everybody. It's really been an honor to be part of the Maiden family. I think it was my dad's mother, Ruth, was a maiden. She was Cease's sister. Jesus, it's mind-boggling. And here's a song for you. So many times that Dave and Lynn would come out, and Bill and Don, and of course Danny and Barb. And it was these were the songs that we sang like time after time. And the song was actually written by my dad. God bless him. He made such a good. And so this is called "I'm Going Fishing," and of course we all know the words, right? But you might catch on, and you're more than welcome to join in. All right. I'm going fishing, leaving today. Well, I'm taking myself, no one else. I'm gonna find me a stream, fisherman's dream. Brother, maybe I'll stay. Well, you know, when I got married, thought it'd be fun. Have a cute little girl, boy to call son, with a sweet little wife, a cottage small, a fenced-in yard with flowers and all. Yeah, but at the end of the day, when my hard work was all done, I find myself home, find myself the work's just begun. 3 little wives, 2 little tricks, they're looking all over for things to be fixed. Well, the clothes line is peace line. time to blink. Water dripping down from under the sink. And then there's grass to cut. Then there's weeds to hoe. And the kids think my pockets are lined with gold. Ain't that the truth? So I'm going fishing. And I'm a little today. Well, I'm taking myself, no one else is gonna find me a stream, fisherman's dream, brother, maybe I'll stay. Well, you know, the postman, he rings at my door every day. He brings me a big stack of bills that I've gotta pay. There's a payment on my house, my truck is brand new. I got water, hydro, taxi, and a brand new skidoo. How about that one? Yeah. And then my wife wants a perm. She'll look neat. Wear those kids' feet will grow an inch every week. New shoes for good. New boots when it's muddy. It's no damn wonder I've never got no money. So I'm a going fishing. And I'm a little today. Well, I'm taking myself, no one else gonna find me a stream, fisherman's dream, brother, maybe I'll stay. Well, you know what I need to have is 3 jobs, get 3 checks. My money might spread from one week to the next. There's no sense worrying, not a dog on deck, because I'm going fishing to get away from all this. Amen to that. I'm a going fishing. I will live it today. Well, I'm taking myself, no one's gonna find me a stream, fisherman's dream, brother, maybe I'll stay. I'm gonna build me a bar in the back of my car and drive myself to grave.
So we've heard from a cousin, a song, and we have a chance to listen to and have Danny Ransom come up, who was very, very close cousin of Lynn. People who don't or are not familiar, there was the Mabley side of the business family, and there was the Ransom side of the family. And that's, if you lived in Richmond Hill, you always knew the Mableys and you always knew the Ransoms. So, Mr. Ransom, the floor is for you.
For my dad. It's my daughter. Thanks, Jennifer. I have my glasses here.
Face. For you to read it.
That's why you have children. My wife edited this for me. Right at the very top in big black letters, take a deep breath. Can I just pile on what Harry said? When they're talking about nicknames. I'm Curly, the other half of the students here. But Daniel's wife, my daughter-in-law, Emily, and then in Florida, they went golfing. Another part of the major clan, or the McDonald group, Brian ran, went by Horny, because there's too many Brians. And my Emily, my daughter, says, I went golfing yesterday with a guy named Horny. Okay. Anyway. One other thing, Dave and I remember this. We spent a whole summer going to this drive-in every Sunday night. Lynn loved the drive-in. So. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Danny Ransom. Lynn's double cousin. Lynn's parents, Helen Ransom, Harold Mabley, my parents, Betty Mabley, Stan Ransom were brother and sister. Our parents were married in a double ceremony at the United Church. I was told it was wedding of the year in Richmond Hill. I don't know if there were that many weddings that year or not, but but it was a classic, and there's a lot of picture. As double cousins, we were very close. And I remember growing up with a large blended family of cousins. And our outings. My dad loading up the wagon saying, everybody in the car, let's go. And everybody go, let's go. I said, where are we going? They said, never mind, just get in. And pretty much knew we were headed to a blended family homestead, wherever it was, for a day of fun and games. Or the families would come to our farm. We spent the day doing all kinds of crazy stuff and enjoyed ourselves. Lynn continued her family connection when she became Daniel's caregiver when Barb went back to work. Daniel spent 2 happy years with Lynn and Michael as Daniel's playmate and friend. The connection continued with Jennifer. And Jennifer had the privilege of working with Lynn at several occasions at 16th Avenue Public School. And looked to Lynn as a mentor. Lynn was an organizer for our family events. Every year she booked the rooms for the Ransom family reunion at the farm in Ohio family. Recently she headed up and organized a committee to resurrect the old tradition, the Mabley family reunion. Everybody remembers? Family. I knew Lynn was dedicated to her teaching profession. So I'll give you a quick story. See if I can flip the page. There we go. So we have to give blood, as we all do one time or another, and the line wasn't moving. Even if you had an appointment. The lady in front of me was doing what they call the curly shuffle, looking at her watch and I asked her, I said, you on lunch hour? She said, no, she had class to get to. And soon it was getting very impatient. I asked if the school was closed and she said it was at 16th Avenue Public School. So I asked if she knew Lynn Park. The lady went on for over 10 minutes about Lynn, her teaching skills, positive environment for the kids. Her dedication. And kindness shown for them and their colleagues. So I said, well, yeah, you do know Lynn. As I wrote this, I was remembering a time at the Parks Cottage, looking out the window, the kitchen window, early morning, sunshine across the lake, birds are chirping. Lynn and I are chatting, sharing a laugh, as we usually do, and the smell of the coffee percolating on the stove. This old tin can chugging away, making a pot of coffee, which was probably the best smell in the world. It was quiet, special, and genuine, that moment, just like Lynn. I'll always remember that smell and remember that moment because of it. I just have to say to you, Lynn, remember, we still have not had that last Vienna waltz. So don't fill your dance card. I love you, darling. And I'll see you again soon someday. Thanks.
So we've come to the next. Yeah, we've come to the next poem that Jennifer Ransom's going to read. Jennifer.
This poem is called Alive. Because you live through of sight and reach, I will, so help me God, live bravely too. Taking the road with laughter and gay speech, alert, intent to give all to give life all its due. I will delight my soul with many things, the humorous of the streets and books and plays, great rocks and waves winnowed by seagulls' wings, star-jeweled winter nights, gold harvest days. I will, for your sake, praise what I have missed, the sweet content of long united lives, the sunrise joy of lovers who have kissed, children with flower faces, happy wives. And last, I will praise death, who gives anew, brave life, adventurous and love, and you.
Wow, that was really, really great. And we're going to take a little late addition. Peter, if you would be so kind, it would be wonderful. Peter Mabley is going to speak back on the family side and just a few moments that he wants to share. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Lynn. So I've got to tell a quick Lynn story because it relates to Lynn. So back in the McDonald's days, we would be over at the house on Wood Lane, and Scott would be there, and Lynn, and a whole bunch of other characters. Danny, I'm sure, was there. Anyway, it would be after a few beers, it was getting late, and we were hungry. So Lynn would say, well, we could go over to McDonald's and we can get a Lenny fry. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I thought you got McDonald's fries, not Lenny fries. So anyway, we go over there, and next thing you know, out comes a friggin' big paper bag, carryout bag, and you open it up, it's full of French fries. It was enough to feed an army there. Anyway, that was the Lenny fries. So hopefully people knew about that. I'm not getting you in trouble. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. So, and thank you for asking me to come up today. And Lynn was very special to Leslie and myself. And I guess I'll go back to the beginning. Leslie and Lynn went to Pleasant View Public School together, and then they went to Richmond Hill High School together. So they were always two peas in the pod. And as it turns out, like Lou said, we were cousins. But the crazy thing is, Louis and Lynn were my second cousins, because when my dad was born, his oldest brother was 24, who was your grandpa. So they missed a generation kind of thing skipped. And so Louis is a year older than I, and he's my second cousin. So go figure. Anyway, so yeah, we went through Leslie going to Richmond Hill. I played football for Langstaff, and I guess Leslie had seen me play football and said to Lynn, "Can you introduce me to your cousin?" And I think Lynn was a cheerleader, Leslie as well. Okay. Anyway, well, that's why you should have been up here. Anyway, Lynn introduces us, and the rest is history. We ended up spending lots of time together, and then Gumper, as I call Dave, came on the stage, and we had lots of good times. And I'll share one of the good memories. We were at Earl Rowe Provincial Park, and we were playing euchre, and Dave and I enjoyed a few beers here and there. Anyway, so as the night went on, we had more and more beers, and we're playing cards. Well, Lynn and Leslie kept on winning, and we're going like, okay, come on, our luck can't be this bad. So anyway, we found out later that the two of them, because we were so happy, they were switching cards right in front of us, changing cards. So we didn't have a hope of winning. So then just more recently, we're up at Halls Lake, and we were playing euchre, and I still think they were cheating because they kept on winning. Yeah. We weren't that drunk though. I think we're okay.
We never been smart enough to figure out how to do it.
No, exactly. So the other relationship was that my dad bought a cottage in Halls Lake, and Lynn and Dave used to come up with us all the time, and we'd enjoy a lot of good times. And then years later, 3 doors down, they bought their cottage. And so it was kind of neat. We kept the whole cousin thing going on, and we've had a lot of good times in Halls Lake. It's been a special place for a lot of us. So, I don't know if I got anything else, but I just thank you for asking me up here, and thank you everyone for coming today. Take care.
Thank you, Peter, very much. How are we doing, Dave?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good, good. So is everybody okay? Enjoying yourself?
Stretch here.
Stretch thing, we're well
17
behind and we're not
stretch.
going to change. So Tom and the gang here have been very generous with their time. But in a more structured environment, we're going to ask the education gang to join us at the front right now. So that would be certainly MJ Pearson, a close friend, Eric Kilge, and Sonia. If you guys could all come up, we'll turn it over to you. And until the alarm sounds, you'll hear the ding, ding, ding bell. After that, you're out. Okay?
My name is MJ, and I guess I now know Lynn for 26.7885. Repeat the decimal fraction. I never knew about Lynn's nicknames. She actually had a nickname for me. It was Sham. And it actually comes from an Italian background. I think it's Shamo Storto, which means it's crazy old man. And I'm thinking, wow, Lynn was calling me a crazy old man all these years. Lynn was my best friend. And I first heard the name Lynn Park when I was working at a summer program up in Hall Landing. And it was a summer program. And the owner came up and said to me, oh, we have a job opening up at a school. It's a brand new childcare center. And I went, oh, do I want to do childcare? Do I want to be around children? Because at that point, I didn't really like kids very much. So, by the way, I'm a teacher, 23 years, but we're good. So at that point, I hesitated, and she pulled me in the office, and she said to me, you're going to be working with someone by the name of Lynn Park, and she is absolutely incredible. She was right. She asked me to go to a meet and greet, so my sister and I packed up and went down to the school, and I walked in the center, and she came around the corner, and if you know Lynn, she looked at me in a certain way, looked me up and down. You must be MJ. Well, great. Yeah, I am. And that's how she looked at me. She said, yeah, you're going to be a lot of work. Thanks. And then she says to me, are you always so, energetic? Yeah, I am. She goes, we're getting along just fine. And I was terrified, I'll be honest. And from that sort of moment, after meeting her, I definitely decided to accept the position and I moved forward. And I started working at the childcare. Lynn was really, really tough on me. Hearing all the McDonald's stories, you can take that and times it by 5. She would question everything I did. She'd ask me, can you explain why you did this? And I'd do a full explanation and she'd just sit and stare at me. And I'd be like, am I fired? She would look at me and say, oh no, that's okay. Maybe next time you can handle it this way. And I've heard today a lot of people saying she just had a way of speaking with people. And the way that she did it with me was incredible. Until I reached a moment where I was having, I consider a meltdown, but she said I was having a diva moment that, if you know me, I can be a bit of a diva. So she said to me in that moment, come talk with me. And she sat me down across the desk and she said, what's wrong? And I said, well, you're always hard on me. I said, like your little Aerostar van pulls in the driveway. We draw the blinds. We say, look busy, Lynn's coming. And we all scamper around. We put things away and all this. And I said, but you're really, really hard on me. And I don't know why. And she looked at me straight in the face. And she said to me, it's because I really like you. And you're really good. And to this day, I remember that she also told me, MJ, you don't know how good you are. And I'm going to help you get there. And she did. something else magical sort of happened from that moment on, where we started developing this friendship. And for lack of better terms, I was her gay friend and she was my fag hag. Although she did want to be called Fruit Fly instead sometimes. But we joked about names back and forth, but she was always my Lynn, and I was her Shamus Short Tap. A few years later, I did leave the daycare and I moved into 16th Avenue Public School, where I have wonderful memories. Lynn and the staff gave me this poster, and the poster was a sailboat, and it's leading into the ocean. And the caption says, "Risk. A ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what ships were made for." And I've sort of always lived by that creed. And she always looked at me and said, you know, moving forward, it can be scary, but you're going to be okay. And now that we are not work colleagues, I want you to know that you're my best friend. So that poster still hangs in my office today. To my surprise, Lynn actually left the daycare, and she actually moved into 16th Avenue Public School, where we worked together for many, many years. She had the job where she worked with children, how can I say this? And if you're a teacher in the room, you know what I mean, that are energetic, that are active, that are creative. And she worked with all those kids. And I remember one time when I was in my classroom, she had a little girl who was following around the school, and the little girl had snuck into my room in the middle of my class, and the door was open, there's a crack in the door, and the little kid was in the crack inside the doorway, and then standing in my doorway, and she's looking at me going, I gotta take this kid to the office. How am I gonna get her down here? And the kid's lips are like pressed between the door and the crack, going, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, Mrs. Park, I hate you. And I remember thinking, and then of course the kid ran out, and Lynn just goes casually following this child. And 5 minutes later, the announcements come on like, beep, 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 I hate you, I hate you. This kid's on the announcements in the school. And Lynn was so calm throughout the whole entire thing. And I guess my point is that when people say Lynn had a way of working with adults, she was incredible with children. She just got them, and kids respected her. Can I tell you how many kids have come up to me when I've been at the mall and they're like, you're Mrs. Park's friend. Right, yeah. And I remember you. And oh yeah, you were always with her. So being known to be that person is okay by me. I don't mind being referred to as Lynn Park's friend, but her knack with children was absolutely incredible. And one thing she always did was that she always put them first, in front of herself and in front of others. And she had a way of even helping me understand children, as she did with many teachers at 16th Avenue as well. And was also a part of a program called the Summer Institute at 16th Avenue Public School. And she loved this program. It was her baby. It was her thing that she wanted to go in and make a difference. The Summer Institute program gives programs to students that can go have experiences that perhaps they wouldn't have experiences in real life. And a lot of people shared that today, that Lynn tried to give children experiences. And that's what she was all about. Never about herself. It was always about children and the families from those children, and taking a perspective of looking from the inside out and really trying to understand people. I had the pleasure of being a program leader for 8 years with her. And working with some other people who are in this room today at that summer program will attest to the fact that working with her at this program was fun. It was incredibly a family, a separate family. And that's when I think I first looked at Lynn and thought, yeah, you're doing a job, but you also have the work family, and you really put people under your wings, and people loved you for what you did for people. A few years later, I actually moved to a French immersion program, and her and I would still meet up. We would still talk about 16th Avenue. And if you're from 16th Avenue here today, I want you to know that not even a week ago, she was saying how much she loved all of you, how much she respected you, and how lucky she was to have had a career with you. Someone from 16th recently said to me, you know, this past June, we celebrated Lynn at her retirement. And any of you that know Lynn, keeping something from Lynn is not an easy task. She has to know everything. I'd be texting my phone. Who are you texting? Like someone. Oh, okay. She says, well, what are you doing next Friday or Thursday? And I'm like, I'm busy. What are you busy doing? Okay, here we go. So a friend and I, with another close friend of Lynn's, orchestrated taking her for dinner. And it was at Moxie's. And that day, so everybody knows, she was actually going to cancel because she had a bit of a headache. And thank God she didn't. We got her there. And as we're getting out of the car, she's wandering in and she looks and goes, oh, look, someone's having a party. And I'm thinking, okay, we got her. So as we enter the restaurant, her other friend and I are standing there. And then all these people, the doors are open, all these people stand. And she turns to me, she goes, I'm going to kill you, MJ. And then she turns and she looks at, she goes, hi, everybody. It's like, but people said kind words to her there. There were people there physically, there were people there in spirit. And I want everybody to know that later on, talking with her, she had a few wines, just a few. She had said to me, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. I'm like, what can't you believe? Did you hear what they said about me? I said, I did. Did they give you the papers? You could read them over later. Yeah, they did. She says, huh? I go, yeah, huh? How does it feel to feel the way that you make everybody feel every day? And she was silent on the phone. And she said to me, thank you, MJ. I said, you're welcome. It wasn't just me. It takes a village. Oh, that felt so good because she always says it doesn't for these students. It takes a village, MJ. I got to say it back to her. Yeah, exactly. When I did receive the call from Kelly at the wee hours in the morning on the Sunday of, my world sort of froze in that moment. The family doesn't know it, but Kelly sort of left it in my hands what to do. She had hopped in my car and I was halfway down to the hospital. I knew I probably wouldn't see Lynn. I wasn't sure if it was my place to be there. But Kelly then called me and she said, that she had passed. And I pulled over to the side of Patha Street, I think at about 2 a.m. and I left there at 4 a.m. in the morning. I just couldn't move. And I kept on thinking in my head, what were the last words she said to me? What were the last things we did together? I was also mad. And I'll be honest with you, I'm still a little mad and a little angry today. I'm angry that she only had 2.5 months of retirement when she should have had way more. I'm mad that I was supposed to have dinner with her last week and that dinner didn't happen and it will never happen. I'm mad that I was going to make her watch a Hallmark Christmas movie. And she refused, but she finally, and that won't happen. I'm angry that I had to make some phone calls on the family behalf to tell them of her passing and hear them catch their breath before I could speak with them, because those are calls I shouldn't have made for another many years. I'm mad that she was only 66 years old and I had more time with her, much more time, like everyone else. The other day, Kelly asked me to forward some pictures to her if I had any. I said gladly, no problem. And I remember waking up at 3 a.m. looking for this one photo I had of Lynn and I. And I searched frantically. And about 5 a.m. I finally found it. And it's us in a restaurant putting everything from the table on our head. I don't know why we're doing that. And underneath it, there's a description that said, who wouldn't want to be us? And that's my favorite picture. I finally found it. And when I held that picture, I then thought in my head, I understood why I was mad. And we heard wonderful things about Lynn today, how gracious, how dedicated, how caring, how loving she was. But what Lynn helped me to do was to love myself. She always put me first. And she always left me with the impression, you need to love you. So if you're sitting out there angry today, or maybe robbed, or maybe upset or mad, maybe you just need to, maybe like me, sit and reflect that the reason you're so mad and angry is because She taught us how to love ourselves, and maybe she's not here to do it anymore in the physical world, but we're definitely here in spirit. And maybe, just maybe, you won't be so mad anymore. That's a pretty amazing gift that she's given all of us, to love ourselves. So Lynn, my best friend, I want to take this moment just to thank you for my gift. I'm always going to be really angry that you were gone so far from me, but I'm always going to remember how much you loved me. And I'm always going to love myself the way that you loved me when you were here.
MJ, thank you. MJ talked about the retirement party that Lynn had, and they held for her from the 16th Avenue School. We have another colleague here who's going to read a letter that was written by the principal of the school. And Dave read it to me, read it to Jan and myself this week. And I said, it has to be heard. So Sonia, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sonia, and I've actually had the privilege of knowing Lynn for the majority of my career. She was actually my mentoring teacher when I was doing a co-op program in high school. And my high school placement was in Lynn's classroom. And ever since then, I've had the connection with Lynn, thank goodness, because being in Richmond Hill and her life in Richmond Hill and her work at 16th Avenue, I ended up taking over the role of supervisor at the childcare center there and had very big shoes to fill. But I always had Lynn down the hall to go and ask questions and what would you do? And though we disconnected when I moved away from 16th Avenue, Lynn was always the type of person, and a lot of people mention once you're a friend of Lynn's, you're a friend for life. And with MJ, we've connected over the years on occasions, and the most recent was at her retirement. So I am going to read a letter from Eric Kilgee, who was a principal that we both worked with at the time at 16th Avenue. And it was read at her retirement. Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to keep this short because I know there are many tears, and I'm not talking about Lynn's tears. Lynn, we are all so happy for you on your well-deserved retirement. But we also know that this is a huge loss for 16th Avenue community. You have made a positive impact on so many students, staff, and families, and you will be missed by everyone. Lynn, we haven't worked together in almost 10 years, and I still miss those days I looked to you for guidance, for problem solving through difficult situations, and also for the personal advice I asked for. I knew when we were problem solving together that Lynn had an empathetic and caring lens, which are important qualities in decision making. She is able to look at all angles and keeping what's in the best interest of students first. Lynn is so seasoned in dealing with people. She is a master at helping students understand the impact of their actions. Even those students who tell the rest of us to F off would never disrespect Lynn. There is some kind of magic there, Lynn. And then there is the Summer Institute. This highly successful summer program is because of Lynn, and everyone knows that. Thank you for being an advocate for all the students, and thank you for your leadership and mentorship to all of us. I am proud to say that I am a better person for having you as a friend. And that's from Eric.
The family asked me to read oh, sorry, Eric. Eric, I apologize.
Good afternoon, everyone. This one's going to be shorter than my speech in June because I don't have the strength for this. But this is when Lynn would have sat me down and helped me find the courage and strength to get my ass up here. So that's Lynn for you. Like, I'm still in shock and disbelief, just like you. It was several months ago that we were celebrating Lynn's career with her. I am honored to have known Lynn as a trusted colleague and also as a friend. I have so much respect for her. As you all know, she was so caring and would do anything for kids and families who needed support. We learned from her, we valued her, we looked to her for advice, and we celebrated with her. There were so many success stories because of Lynn. She touched so many lives and had a positive impact on so many people. If there were more people like Lynn, the world would be a better place. On behalf of the 16th Avenue family, we will miss you, Lynn, and we are blessed that you have been part of our lives.
Family asked that I read a poem, and it's especially relevant to some of the comments we've heard here this afternoon. Just like Danny's take a deep breath comment, my wife Kim told me, go slow. So I'll try, but it's called The Dash by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most was the dash between the years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth. And now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters how we live and love and how we spend the dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try and understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect, and more often, wear a smile, remember this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's action to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? And certainly we can all be overjoyed in how Lynn's contributed by spending her dash with us. So next, we're going to ask Lou, and this time with his sisters, Deb and Linda, and he is really going to need some help. As you hear, he struggles with his voice. So he's asking particularly for crowd participation, and I think most of you will know the number he's going to play. So I'll leave it to you. Thank you, Lou.
This is Deb. This is Linda. And we've selected a song. Those of us who know Lynn and all of us who love her, you know that this song suits her. Okay, help us sing.
only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Sunshine, not only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Please don't take my sunshine away.
And we'd like a few words now from Brother Eric, please. Eric?
Thank you, Tim. I just want to share what it was like to be part of our family. I've heard Danny talk and Lou and Peter. It is a big extended family, but I was fortunate to have two older sisters and an older brother, and staying with the math team. Scott was 11 years older than me. Lynn was 9 years older, and Dawn 7. We've heard lots of nice stories about Lynn, but I have to share a couple that. So you heard Leslie was Lynn's best friend. I think Leslie and Lynn were kind of troublemakers too. I think I may have been 12 or 13 years old, and they would be sitting on the front porch at our house on Wood Lane. All of a sudden, they're writing out this note. What's the note for? So it used to be a variety store called J&J Variety on Levendale. I don't know if it's still there or not. But it was a note to the owner of Levendale or the J&J Variety. This is our brother Eric. He's 12 years old. He doesn't smoke, but please sell him cigarettes. So I'd pedal on my bike and go up to Levendale and get them cigarettes. And then there was another questionable decision, I think, has always been in the back of my mind, and that was the day I met Dave Park. So we lived on Wood Lane, and at that time, Wood Lane was normal width of street. And I come downstairs as any normal 12-year-old. All I want to do is watch my Saturday morning cartoons. And I go downstairs and there's this lump on the couch. So I said, who the heck is this guy? So I had no idea who he was. I turned the TV on, I'm watching TV. Then I went outside, went to play, and there was this crappy little silver Renault car. The only good thing about it is it had those nice plush leather red seats. It was parked, no word of a lie, 4 feet from the curb on an angle. Going the wrong way. So I guess in Lynn's nurturing way, she brought this drunkard into our house. Let him sleep on the couch. And Dave and I, we had our issues when I was young. But Lynn always had that nurturing way. And believe it or not, she was a teacher way back when I was a little kid too, because I used to be left-handed. I'm not left-handed anymore. Lynn said, you can't write with your left hand, I guess. And Dawn, you may know the story more than I do, but I used to be left-handed. Yeah. And I was thinking this week, we had a very, very strong mom. And I think, as everyone here has learned, Lynn had that same type of personality as well. We used to have a family hockey team, maybe Moonshiners, that turned into Jedi's, and we would go to Niagara Falls every year for a tournament, stay at the Old Stone Inn. And being the little brother, Lynn would let me stay in their room. And that continued on. I think in Lucan, stayed in the same room there. But I always wondered, what was this big container, a big box of things that she brought? Well, she brought a toaster, she brought a coffee maker, she brought everything that you could have breakfast in the room. So, you know, it was always growing up that either I was Scott's brother or Lynn's brother or Don's brother. But looking back this week, you know, it was quite an honor to be that. And Lynn and Don, you know, Brett and I went through our own issues in the last 18 months, and Lynn and Don were there. So as excuse me, everyone knows, it was a shock, but I don't think she'll ever stop teaching. And she shared all of those same personality traits with Kelly and Mike. So on behalf of Don and I and our families, Philip was here, Nicole's here with their families, Scott's kids. Thank you very much for being here and honoring them.
Thanks, Eric. We were never their brother. You know, I always called you Eric. I always remember going over to your place and poor old Eric was in the corner. Everybody's doing their thing, and I'd always take some time and spend it with Eric. So now we have Kelly. And Kelly is going to, I'm going to preempt this. Kelly is going to sing a poem, or not
I'm
sing
not
a
singing
poem.
nothing.
Read a poem. Read a poem. I have it there for you.
Thanks.
And after Kelly's finished, we're going to listen to a song called "My Best Friend" by Tim McGraw that that Dave is dedicating to Lynn.
Hey, everybody. Ooh. I found this poem. It's like one of the most popular poems on Google search for like funeral, but I actually found it in an Instagram post like the night after my mom passed. And I was like, okay, Instagram, thanks for giving me something. So this is called All Is Well. Death is nothing at all. I have only slipped into the next room. I am I and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in your tone, where no forced air of I can't say this word. Solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household world that it always was, which was for me, Mom, Lynn, for my dad. Let it be spoken without effect, without the trace of shadow on it. Life means all that is ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is unbroken continuity. Why should I be out of mind? Because I'm out of sight. I am waiting for you for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Thank you all for coming. I just want to say that I'm so lucky that I was there this weekend with her. We all were. And I just kept saying to her, I'm with you, you are with me, and we are together. And we are all together now, and we will continue to be. And my loss is as great as all of yours. So thank you.
Never had no one I count on. I've been let down so many times. I was tired of hurting, so tired of searching. You walk into my life. It was a feeling I've never known. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. No more. Oh, we just get closer. All over. Every time I look at you, I don't know where I'd be without you here with me. I'm with you makes perfect sense. My best friend, my best friend, yeah. You stand by me, you believe in me, like nobody ever has. When my world goes crazy, you're right there to save me. You make me see how much I have. I still tremble when we touch. Those look in your eyes, you make me love no more. There can never be enough. There can never be enough. Oh, we just get closer. I'm all over. Every time I look at you, I don't know where I'd be without you here with me. I'm with you makes perfect sense. My best friend, oh, my best friend. Just get closer. Every time I look at you, I don't know where I'd be without you here with me. I'm with you makes perfect sense. My best friend. Oh, my best friend. My best
What a beautiful afternoon to celebrate the life of Lynn. She was a partner, she was a spouse, she was a mother and a daughter, she was a sister, she was a cousin, she was a colleague, and a friend, our friend. And the star, her star, will always shine bright forever and in our hearts. And on behalf of Dave, Mike, Kelly, we thank all of you for attending Lynn's celebration of life. We'd also like to thank the speakers that shared their stories and poems today, and the artists, Lou, Deb, Linda, and Steve, who will play momentarily. I'd like to thank Tom and the Marshall family in making this a comfortable and memorable place for Lynn to celebrate. It has been an honor for Tim and I to speak to you about our good friend Lynn today, to share the memories. Dave, Mike, and Kelly would also like to have you join them downstairs for some light beverages and food. It's just, for your information, it's just outside and down the stairs. The Marshall team will actually direct you down there if you don't know where it is. Well, Tim, did I miss anything?
I think just one thing. We talked about more crowd participation, I thought.
You thought?
And I know that Lynn and Dave both really like listening to Steve Ingram as well.
Okay.
And you know, she always sang along.
Yes, she did.
So I'm thinking that, and we could probably blow the roof right off the chapel if we wanted to. So, and I think this next song, you're gonna know, you're gonna join in, and I'm gonna introduce Mr. Steve Ingram. He'll lead it, but he needs some help. So Steve, if you'd be so kind.
You guys sitting down for?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I started at McDonald's. Now look, 2 weeks after him. I was the rookie for 2 years. Thousands of employees started after I did. I was the rookie. And I had the opportunity to work with Lynn. I've known her 50 years, 6 months, 8 days. And it was always a pleasure to spend time with Lynn. I spent a lot of time out in Vancouver, so I didn't get a chance to spend with these people as much as I would have liked. But the last few years, we've gotten a chance to see each other again. I think that's as much as I can say. Because if I say any more, I won't be able to sing. This is a John Denver song, you know it. And I know that Lynn would want you to sing. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. I'm older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like the breeze. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather around her. Stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, leaning on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, now take me
home. Country roads. I hear her voice in the morning as she calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road, country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Them country roads, take me home. Them country roads, take me home. Them country roads.
As Dave mentioned, all are invited to the lower lounge for a time. Please, thank you.
Good man.
Good job, guys.